Yeah, there's a lot more fun over on 6 Feet Under to be had. You can go ad-free if you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, or indeed if you head to wherethere'sawillthere'sawake.com. That's a jingle I've just made up on the ruddy spot, wherethere'sawillthere'sawake.com. Hello there, I'm Mel Giedroyc, Gedders, celestial receptionist here at PG Towers, aka Pearly Gates Towers. And no, I'm not talking tea bags, although there was a chap here earlier who had to pop down both the words tea and bagging into his cause of death. Listen, welcome to Where There's a Will There's a Wake.
Where there's a will, there's a wake, there's a wake.
And who do we find at the gates today? We'll be dragging him over the coals to find out where he'll be spending his afterlife eternity. It's only the holiest hustler I know, the ravishing, or should I say ravishing,
Reverend Richard Coles. Reverend Richard Coles.
Oh, that's my life complete.
isn't it?
I think heaven, or the threshold to heaven, I should say, let's not presume,
Which is where we are,
will be like that.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just a beautiful celestial
Choral
choir.
setting of one's own name. But they'd still mispronounce your surname, wouldn't they? Because everybody does.
The worst one I ever had was Gladrags.
I love that.
Melanie Gladrags.
Melanie Gladrags is so good.
It's Giedroyc, but it looks like Giedroyc.
Well, that's why I worry, because I assume with the name, which I imagine comes from the other side of the sort of Balkan area.
Yeah. Baltic, I'll take.
Oh, hang on, where?
Lithuania/Poland.
Oh, I see. Because for years, right, I went around thinking, talking about the sculptor Brancusi, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Brancusi.
From
Romania. It's
Brancusi.
Brancusi. But if you say Brancusi, everyone will hate you.
Oh, interesting. Like, there's also that Hungarian surname spelt Nagi.
Naj.
Nuch.
No. Is it really?
No word of a lie.
Or
Nuch.
Polish, that
Yes.
L-O-D-Z. How do you get to
Łódź.
Łódź?
Łódź.
How do you get there?
Łódź. I love Łódź. I've never been, but I love the idea
I'd
of
like
it.
to say I was from there. I have to say I'm from Kettering, which looks exactly as it is spelled, which is disappointing.
How are you doing, Rev Rich?
All right. Very well, actually.
Look
I'm in my
amazing.
60s and having a whale of a time.
Oh, man.
Love my 60s. 50s,
Oh, yeah. 50s we can
oh,
put to one side. I mean, no, not put to one side, but
it was, I don't
was a
know.
lot.
I've
There was
done
a
a
lot.
fictional foul, whereas now, 60s, I'm loving them like a child.
You look extremely well.
That's Manjaro.
Is that the old?
The jab, yeah, I'm on it. I'm
And
on the
how
food
is it?
jab.
How is it jabbing yourself?
Oh, that's easy peasy. No, I mean, that's not. It's an EpiPen sort of thing.
Okay.
It's lovely because you lose weight without even trying.
Does it mean you can eat the same amount?
No, it
No.
means what happens is your head appetite says you can, but your belly appetite gives up halfway through.
Wow.
Or sometimes, like yesterday, I went to the theatre in the evening and I forgot to have any supper. Didn't even notice.
How many times do you have to jab a day?
It's once a month. No, week. Once a week. It's Monday nights.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I
Well,
thought you were going to
jab.
say like 3 times a day or something.
I like the jab. It makes me feel a little bit like I'm on Holby City.
Now listen, hold the gold, please,
Sorry.
Rev Rich, while we let these capitalists do their thing.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this short break.
So, what are you plugging, Rich Rev?
Goodness me. Well, I've got a book out. The 5th in my murder mystery series, the Canon Clement mysteries. It's
Can I just ask
Yes.
something? Why does murder in the church go so well together?
Because exposure to the culture of the church would induce murderous impulses in the most peaceable of people within about 20 minutes. That's one. Also, because I think when people come to church, they bring with them their highest hopes and their deepest fears, and sometimes the gap between the two of that can be quite a murdery one. Also, vicars get everywhere. So we make good detectives. Nobody asks what you're doing somewhere.
Vicars get everywhere. That is
Yeah.
absolutely... And you're on number 5.
Number 5 in the series. Yeah, lots
Wow.
happened.
Wowzers.
And this time, the other thing, if you write in a small village setting as they do,
Yeah.
logistical problem, after a while you've killed all the people who live there.
Midsummer Murders.
Or they've been arrested.
Yes.
So you need to. So the circus has come to town. There's a film being made, period drama being filmed at the Big House.
Love it.
And alas, one day the cast is down by one.
Are you already thinking about the next one?
Yeah, I know what the next one's going to be, but slightly coming because the first one is now on the telly, so they've just filmed it for Channel 5.
Listen, this is super exciting. When's it going to be out?
October. So that's coming in October. 6-hour-long parts.
This is good, right?
And I'm on tour at the moment too, so I'm taking my hilarious yet moving one-man show out around Britain.
I would automatically love to see you going through the aforementioned gates, but I wonder if there's. Can you give me 3 reasons, maybe, Rev Rich, why you should be admitted to?
Well, you see, there's an issue here because I'm in the trade.
Yeah.
There's a sort of technical question here. So what I'm saying is I arrive at the pearly gates. What I'm not meant to do is kind of list my accomplishments and say, how about swinging open to admit me?
Yeah.
Because it's entirely up to
Big
God,
P.
whether you get in or not, right?
Yeah.
Nothing to do with my own merits. Having said that, I do some good things, I think. So I've never bitten my fingernails. So I'd like to offer that as a plea and mitigation of the sins.
Never.
No, I've never. And the funny thing is, as a pianist, the least bad habit you can have is biting your fingernails,
Because
right?
you want to keep them.
Clitter clatter.
I don't like clitter clatter at all.
No.
On a
I don't
keyboard.
bite my fingernails. I've never done that. The other thing is, I have an unusually well-developed sense of spatial awareness and a commitment to sharing it with strangers. So, you know, when people walk really slowly in London, I don't do that. If I want to walk slowly, if I want to check my phone, I go into the
Slow
pits, right?
Yeah.
And just let the traffic go hither. I think there should be 2 pavement lanes.
I agree.
Dawdlers, and people with places to go and people to see.
I totes agree. Do you have any friends that dawdle and then you have to walk with them because that is really annoying?
Well, no, it's the other way around because Dickie, my partner, moves at a hell of a lick.
You see, my husband does as well.
Really
but I love
faster
that.
than your natural speed.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, he's very tall, he's got really long legs, and I literally jog. It's actually embarrassing. I jog behind him.
Dickie is as lithe as a stripling because he does the Pilates, you see.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, so he's off like that. And
Yeah,
and
whoosh.
also, when we first met, right, I'd done my back in. I had to have a surgery on my back, so I was a bit slow. And you just go, pick it up, come on, pick it up. So unsympathetic.
I quite like the sound of Dickie.
Yeah, me too. It's nice on paper, nice in the flesh.
I think that's very good.
And I have got one thing which I think will cut through.
Yeah.
I once assisted in the rescue of a parrot from Sainsbury's in Kettering.
Oh, that's very strong. Which aisle are we talking?
Well, it was outside, actually. The
Oh.
parrot had got in a tree in the car park outside Kettering Sainsbury's.
Right.
I don't know if you know it.
I don't think I've ever been to Kettering Sainsbury's. I've been to a lot of Sainsbury's, but not that one.
Well, it's nothing about it would just particularly mark it out, apart from the fact that there was this escape, you know, scarlet macaw, not a parrot, scarlet macaw,
Yes.
in a tree, wouldn't come down. So we'd had to beseech it down, and we did. And I think I'm all right with animals, really, but birds, not really my thing.
Yeah.
But I kind of tried to radiate persuasion, authority to get the bird. There were a few of us. I can't take all the credit for myself, but we did get the bird down and out of the tree. I don't know how it got in the tree.
What were the magic words?
It was more a sort of attitude. There was an angle of approach. We respected the bird,
That's good.
but we also wanted the bird to, through reason, to see that its best interests were in returning to its owner.
Having you as a guest on this podcast, I can't describe to you what this feels like.
Is it a mind?
Rich. It's a total wonderful mind. And it's like if this was ballet, it would be like having Baryshnikov here. Do you know what I mean? This is like you are the absolute, you are our fount of all knowledge. I can't believe we've got this booking, gang. It's incredible.
Well, it's so nice to thank you for having me. I'm absolutely delighted. But I mean, I have been at the threshold between this world and the next, or indeed the nothingness, if that's your view, a lot. So yeah,
you're our man on the inside, big time.
Not quite on the inside, but on the edge. Perhaps. Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, as to whether you do go through the pearly gates or not, we're gonna leave that now. We'll come sort of full circle to that towards the end of the podcast.
Okay.
But for now, We're dying to know, what was it that you were scoffing before it happened? What was going on at?
The Last Supper.
Well, I have a menu.
Give it.
Well, my last review, I
Please.
mean, I think if I were to be executed and could have my choice, this is what I would have. We start with beluga caviar, lashings of it, eaten Russian style with just unsalted butter. And with that, we'd have a Chablis Grand Cru, a really great one. We'd then have a chicken dansak and a mushroom bhaji with pilau rice and a mixed raita from the Maharani in Clapham High Street. Half a cobra with that, draft, not bottle. And then for pudding, we'd have raspberries with clotted cream and a muscat de baume de Venise. That's what I'm thinking. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. What are you drinking with the beluga? Champs, presumably.
Chablis.
Oh,
I don't
sorry,
like
you
champagne.
said.
I don't
You
like it.
champagne?
No,
Really?
I find it too,
Desiccating. Yeah.
you know?
Bit drying.
Parchy.
Parchy.
I like a rich, lovely, kind of luscious Chablis. That works for me.
Shabbos to start with, Cobes, and then
Cobes, and then muscat, and then Baumes.
Muscat. Bones,
Yeah.
like a desserty.
Rich, sweet, lovely. And raspberries. I adore raspberries and clotted cream. One of my fellow clergy, the great Parson Hawker of Morwenstow, he was the one who excommunicated his cat for catching a mouse. He invented a diet in his 60s, which was to live entirely on clotted cream, and it killed him in 6 months. He literally had nothing but clotted cream.
He ate nothing but
Yeah. He thought it'd be a rich food source, when indeed it was, of fat. And anyway, he died in
was
about
dead
6
within
months.
6 months.
Yeah.
One of my Polish ancestors just lived on nuts.
Really?
Lived for years.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I think you can. Dates as well. Isn't it true that a date contains every single source of food that you need?
Really?
It's got your fibre, it's got your vits, it's got everything
I
else.
love a date, don't you? How do you feel about a medjool date?
Love them. Yes.
Do you remember at
I love a
Christmas?
medjool.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I don't know what Christmases were like in your house with your excitingly mixed heritage.
We did two, 24th and 25th,
Oh,
doubled ins.
Did you have like carp on the 24th? No, that's Polish, isn't it?
But yeah, no, we do Vigilia, which is the Polish Christmas Eve. Carp, too bony. But your pudding is lovely. I like the way that finishes off the Last Supper. It's got the tartness of the raspberry with the richness of the clotted cream.
Simple, simple, simple.
But now, my friend, you must die.
The death.
Well, I would most like to die in a faintly comic way, but also heroic. So what I'd like to do is to be, I don't know, maybe perhaps on La Croisette in Cannes or something, and all of a sudden I see Romeo Beckham, and a rhino escapes and runs towards him, and I push Romeo Beckham out of the way. I give my life to Romeo Beckham and get trampled by the rhino and die, not at once, because I want a whole kind of hospitalization, deathbed thing, but I will die, but having saved Romeo Beckham from an escaped rhino on La Croisette. What do you think?
Would you rather save the rhino or would you rather save the Romeo?
I'd have to say Romeo, of course. I mean, no one wants ill fortune to befall a Beckham, do they?
Absolutely.
No, and Romeo, nice name, and I'm sure he's a nice kid. I've never met him or anything. But I was thinking, like, who's the equivalent of a sort of member of the royal family, but who's not? Probably the Beckhams, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
I bet their Christmas card, they look like, I don't know, the sort of royal house of Liechtenstein on it or something, with suits. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit distressed to hear that they have sort of family issues at the moment.
I know.
So saving Romeo might be the catalyst which would bring Brooklyn back into the fold a bit.
Oh, of course, because it's not Romeo that's been slightly sort of...
I think there's some issue going on about David's 50th or something.
Brooklyn needs to just settle down because he's making his hot sauce, then he's a photographer, then he's an F1 driver, then once he's settled himself down, he'll be good as gold.
I mean, obviously hard to be the child of famous parents, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think if Romeo were to experience a moment where he was threatened with death, I think it might just restore focus to that family.
I can see a film being made of that very event.
Well, me too.
Who'd play you?
Oh, it's so obvious, isn't it? Chris Hemsworth. Don't you think?
Hemsworth.
Maybe Alan Carr. Either Chris Hemsworth or Alan Carr. I'd love it to be Alan, actually.
He is absolute ruddy quality. Is he a neighbour? Does he live sort of fairly nearby?
Well, he lives near me in Sussex, but actually I was at his London residence, which was lovely. But I'm very fond of Alan. And also we grew up in the same place, Northampton, you
Of course
see.
he probably did.
But we didn't know each other at all.
Now, I'm sure I've said this before, Rev Rich, we are devastated that you've gone.
Oh, that I've died?
That you've died.
Yeah.
I think we need some solace from our listeners for a little bit of comfort. If you wouldn't mind, I think in the lap of Herb, you will find some...
Death notices.
Who have we heard from this week, please?
Well, we've heard from Molly in Archway.
Hey, Molly.
To Mel and Deathpod team. When you ask your guest the "what one thing would you not do again" question, the same story always pops up in my head, a story which makes me virtually convulse with embarrassment when I think of it. A few years ago, I had an email at work which grabbed the attention of the entire office, including my boss. The email itself wasn't anything noteworthy, probably a particularly spicy complaint. I was working in customer service. Anyway, as everyone gathered around my desk, I rolled backwards on my chair to make room for the growing crowd, not realising that I had trapped the bottom of my boss's dress underneath the wheel.
Oh, hello.
She was leaning over to read the email, and when she stood upright again, all that could be heard was the rip of her cleavage and the pinging of buttons scattering to the floor. She gasped. The whole room gasped as she stood there motionless, covering her weight for it. Naked breasts. She will no doubt rue the day she decided to not wear a bra with that dress, while I rue the day I rolled back on my wheelie chair. Lord, grant me the power to forget this moment one day. Love the pod, Molly.
That's brilliant.
Isn't it?
Also, the little detail of the buttons. Ding, ding, ding,
The
ding,
ping,
ding.
ping, ping. I know, it's those little...
Yeah.
That's a poet, that, Molly.
Yeah, Molly, some pretty strong writing there. Thank you very much for sending that in.
Yeah.
That's absolutely brilliant. And actually, Molly, thank you as well. You've reminded me, I forgot to ask the Rev Rich if there was one thing in his life that he really would like to just press the old erase on.
So many. Misreading the signs in a romantic situation that turned out not to be romantic.
Okay.
That would be one. The one moment that I particularly sweat at was I was very keen on Armenian culture, and I was friends with a very nice lady called Nurutsa Matosyan, who was the Armenian cultural attaché in London. And I did a whole load of stuff with her for Radio 3 on Armenian culture.
Amazing.
Well, I thought so. I'm fascinated by it in the country. And anyway, she phoned me up one day and she said, look, we're having a do at the Armenian Cathedral. Would you like to come? We'd love to have you there as a sort of thank you and everything. And everyone will be there.
Lovely.
So I said yes. So I got there. We were all sitting around and Nurutsa made a little speech. And she said, there's one person here I think has made a very significant contribution to the broadening of appreciation and understanding of Armenian culture this year. She looked over at me and smiled. And I stood up and she said, and it's the Romanian cultural attaché. And then said somebody else's name who stood up in front of me. And I literally had to sit down very slowly. And that was that. It was,
Were you with anyone? Was there anyone that you could share
the entire
that with?
Armenian community was there.
But had you brought anyone with you? Could you share that?
No.
No.
I was just stood up, smiled and kind of made a gracious wave of acknowledgement. And it was the Romanian cultural attaché, not me at all. That was, and there's nothing like standing in the middle of people would be going, who's that man? And he's not the Romanian cultural attaché. She stood up and I just sat down. But I sat down, a bit like Julie Walters in Acorn Antiques,
Yes.
Mrs. Overall, by pretending very slowly by moving.
Yes.
It was
to
like
edge
that.
yourself out of the shot.
And there was nothing anyone could say
Nothing.
or do about it.
Nothing at all.
And I thought I could never, ever, ever go to the Armenian Cathedral ever again.
Have you been to Baku?
No, I'd love to go.
Yeah, I've never been.
Isn't that in
myself.
Azerbaijan?
It is in Azerbaijan.
Yeah. It's Yerevan in
Good.
Armenia.
Molly, I was just testing him. I just wanted to make sure that he did know his capital cities, and he does. Listeners, if you would like your mail read out as the Rev Rich did, just very beautifully, can I say?
Thank you.
And on a little tangent, if you will, do you do your own audiobooks?
I do, yes.
Lovely. As I was saying, if you'd like your email read out, but I mean, those pipes, those dulcet, velvety tones. The email address is simple. It's mel@deathpodcast.co.uk. We go through all the correspondence. That's a promise. Over on 6 Feet Under, which is our little addendum podcast, which Richard will be featuring in. Haven't told him yet, but he will be. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts or head to wherethere'sawillthere'sawake.com for all the details. Thanking you.
You do so professional, Mel. Mel Gangrene. What was it? Not Green Gage. Green Gables.
Green Gage is excellent, as is Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this short break.
Now, I need some nitty-gritty, please, Rev Rich. I need a lot more down and... No, not dirty. I'm not going to say down and dirty, but I just need to drill down. That's what I need to do.
Bit of detail.
Tea towel. Tea towel? What?
Detail.
Oh, detail.
Good tea towel if you want.
I thought you said tea towel.
Just detail.
I want some detail and tea towel on...
The funeral.
Right.
Oh.
Where?
Oh. Well, it'll have to be in my church where I was vicar, St Mary the Virgin, Findon, which is a beautiful, lovely church.
Yeah.
But mindful of the global impact of my death, I'd like it to be live streamed around the Anglophone world. Maybe subtitling would enable it to go even more wider than that.
Lovely.
Yeah. So, but in St Mary the Virgin, Findon, please.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Have you got a little plot?
I do, actually. My late husband is buried in it with his gravestone, which has a text from Psalm 65, my favourite psalm. And then mine is done. I wanted to wait. It's just the last 2 digits of my date of death, which has got the next 2 lines from the psalm on. So it sort of goes together as a pair. That's in a little, very pretty little village called Grafton Underwood in Northamptonshire, where I lived for a long time.
It sounds absolutely delightful. Can I say very well prepared?
Well, also I didn't sort of quite a bog off, but I mean there is for the thrifty memorial. There's a reason in doing 2 for 1. Well, not 2 for 1, but doing 2 at the same time.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very lovely.
So I know where I'm going to lie, and I know what's going to be at my headstone. Yeah.
And how are you getting there?
Well, the usual way. Well, what, into the ground, you mean? Oh, well, a massive funeral, obviously, and it's going to be long. That's the only thing.
Okay. Are we talking full requiem?
Well, no, I want the ring cycle at my funeral.
My God, that's about what,
16 hours?
16 hours.
Yeah, if you're solid. But we can have a sort of toilet breaks and things, but I want a ring cycle with my friend Catherine Foster singing Brunhilde. I'd like Jonas Kaufmann, who I don't know, to sing Siegfried.
Whoa.
And I've got a friend of mine, Evan Rochester, who's a conductor. I'd like him to conduct it with the Bayreuth Festspiele Orchestra, please.
And I'm imagining your friend Catherine Foster will be in full costume,
The whole
or
works.
not.
I want the costumes that Wagner himself intended. So proper horn. You know, when we think of Wagner, we think of
Horns.
That all comes from
Fur.
Wagner.
Yeah.
It's all Wagner.
Yes.
And
Breastplate.
All the work, shield, breastplate, and also she has a horse, Grana. I'd like the horse as well.
And there's the big, what's the big sword?
Notung.
Notung,
Yeah,
that's
so we'd
it.
have Siegfried, would have Notung. And Jonas Kaufmann, I think, who's very hot, would be a good Siegfried. And also, I've seen him work a sword, and he did it beautifully.
And he's good.
Excellent in Die Walküre anyway. So can I have all that?
Of course you can. So people coming to the funeral might have to possibly book themselves into a B&B?
I think accommodation will be provided.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yurts?
Well, yes, maybe or glamping, something like that.
Some glampage.
Lots and
Yeah.
lots of shepherd's things lined up. So we're going to have that actually at the funeral, and then the
Yeah.
wake is in a different place.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about...
The will and the wake.
Since you mentioned the wake, who's getting what in the will, and what is the wake going to be like?
What do you
will
want?
and wake.
Well, will first.
Let's do will and wake.
Well, I'm going to endow a handsome bursary to be awarded to the person under the age of 30 who has the most brilliant, creative and original idea for tackling the issue of social housing. So I want a massive prize to go to a young person who's got some brilliant creative ideas about how we might provide housing for people on low incomes.
That is a very good idea.
That'll get me into heaven, I guess.
Straight through the pearly gates.
The other thing I would quite like to do is donate my collection of ceramics to the Towner Gallery in Eastbourne, because it's just handy down the road from me.
Okay.
And it's a lovely gallery, and they do fantastic stuff in the town and indeed the county. And I'd like them to have some ceramics, because they're a bit light on ceramics, actually.
And this is you collect the Japanese
Well,
20th
I think
century.
English, Japanese, Korean, studio ceramics, 20th century contemporary is my thing. And
Susie Cooper?
Well, it's not one of the people I'm deep in, if you see what I mean.
Susie Cooper.
Well, I mean, of course I love it all, but I have particular interests, I think. So.
Do you pot?
No, I'm not interested in the only creative thing I like to consume that I also like to provide, well, books, I suppose, but it's playing the piano. I love to listen to the piano. I love to play the piano. I love pots. I don't want to be a potter.
No. The wake, I'm
The wake is
imagining
big.
that's going to be massive.
Location, first of all.
Yes.
Drumlanrig Castle, the Pink Palace as it's known, the Duke of Buccleuch's house in Dumfriesshire.
Scone? Near Scone? No. No.
No, not that far actually, but near Dumfries would be the nearest place. But it is a lovely castle of the more sort of zhushy kind. It's not one of the kind of butch castles. It's more a zhushy castle.
I think we might have used their garden.
Famous garden.
Garden. Series 1 of Bake Off for episode 3.
Oh God, you're so good at this.
I've got a distinct. I might be wrong.
I think that's borderline superpower. You remember the locations of programs you did long ago. I think it's brilliant.
I've just got it because Do
you know what? I have a thing. My superpower. I can remember the names of the numbers of the hotel room I stayed in 5 years ago.
That's incredible.
I don't know why, but
Okay. 2023.
Yeah.
March.
Yeah.
Were you in a hotel? If so, what was the room number? There's going to be no way of verifying this.
I was
so
in
the
room
quiz
103 at the Helen Berger Hotel in Valencia.
Wow. 103.
Yeah.
That's increds.
Yeah. That's where I was. And I'll tell you why. It was around the time, I'm not talking about the end of March.
Yes.
And it was a particular birthday.
Right.
Not mine, somebody else's. But
Right.
I was staying at the Hotel Helen Berger in the Carré Comedies in Valencia, room 103. You don't even need a lift.
Because you're on the first floor.
First floor.
So, Rev Rich, have you been to any memorable wakes?
Many, yes,
Yeah.
I have. Well, partly because I was for a while curate at St Paul's Knightsbridge in London, which is a very posh church,
Yeah.
where they have big memorial
Yeah.
services, including the scandal of there was a chap who, whenever a death was announced in the newspaper, he used to phone up and say, well, I was at Harrow with Buffy
Yeah.
and I'd love to come. And they go, yes, of course, this would come. So he'd turn up and then he would sort of chomp his way through the canapes and everything at the Do, which was usually at the Berkeley Hotel or
Yeah.
the Lanes, one of those posh hotels. And it turned out that he was a total fraud. He didn't know any of these people at all, but he just used to phone them up and get himself invited. And he lived on a diet of canapes. And he was exposed by Victoria Corrin, as she was then, before she was Victoria Corrin Mitchell, because he invited himself to her father's memorial service. And she thought, who the hell are you? And so she put a fake name in the paper and he phoned up and said, I was at Harrow with Buffy Tufty. And she said, no, you were not. But the story has quite an ending.
Oh,
He choked to death on a canapé at the Dorchester Hotel.
no.
Yes, of a funeral at a wake to which he had no business attending, and he choked on a canapé to death. And so the next thing, it was his funeral. I don't know who went to his
Did anyone
wake.
come to his funeral?
I don't know. I mean, I would, as a point of principle, but it was after I'd left. So I don't know. I've been to some splendid wakes. I do like I love a funeral and a good old do. Yeah.
Yeah, I like a funeral, actually.
Yeah.
I like a funeral. I went to a really great Welsh one.
They do lovely funerals.
So life-affirming.
Yeah.
So life-affirming.
I was in one of the best funerals I ever went to, which was back in the years of the AIDS epidemic. And it was a Welsh chap who died, and a good friend of mine. And he was only young, poor man. And he had sort of two lives. So he had his London life, which
Yeah.
was quite full on. And
Yeah.
he had got into, well, he liked to wear leather and the accoutrements and all that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And he lived in that sort of world.
Yeah.
But his family were Welsh and Chapel, and they weren't really that wasn't a part of his life they really knew about.
Yeah.
So there's this funeral, which so often happened in those days, where half the church was sort of clattering with cleats and chains and things, and half the church was sort of slightly mystified people from Wales. And there was the minister did the most beautiful job of it. He said, I don't know anything about Robert's life in that respect, but I'm just very happy that I'm able to be here and try to get us together because we all loved him, and that's the important. And it was just the sermon you so wanted to hear, or the address you so wanted to hear from someone who must have been, in lots of ways, you might think way out of his depth. And it was beautifully done, and it was a lovely moment of reconciliation and sympathy and understanding.
It's so good. I bet it was really lovely as well.
Well, it was deeply moving, which is what you want. I mean, often I think people make a mistake with funerals. They would say, I want it to be a celebration of the life. By all means, celebrate the life. But it's also really sad.
Really sad.
And you need to know that, and you need to reflect that. I've done some funerals once where people had sort of insisted that everyone was happy, and they weren't happy. They were grieving and grief-stricken, and you need to address that because that's what a funeral is for. You acknowledge something has happened. You need to acknowledge that before you can get through that and see what life looks like on the other side, right?
It's got to go sort of hand in hand, hasn't it?
I think so, yeah. And celebrate the life, but there's a time and a place, right?
Yeah, I get that.
I'll tell you what happened to me when I thought I was looking absolutely the part. I did a funeral, and there was a burial afterwards. It was in winter. It was in the parish, and the cemetery. We would close the burials in the churchyard. We were full, so went up to the cemetery, and because I'm aware of the proper kit and everything, so I was wearing my big black cloak and a beretta on as well, keep the cold out. And I did the funeral, and I was walking back home in all this kit, feeling I'd done a good job, actually, and enjoying being a properly dressed parson on a cold day for a funeral. And a van went past, and a bloke leaned out of the van, and he went, Oi, Dumbledore! So, perhaps it wasn't working for everybody.
Oh, dear, that's absolutely marvellous.
Dumbledore.
Oh, that's very strong. The beretta is the sort of, it's the kind of quite, is that the quite wide?
No, it's the one, it's like a box hat with 3 fins and a pommel on the top.
Love it.
They are fantastic
They're
hats.
Amazing.
Well, usually worn by Roman Catholic clergy of a traditional stripe, but also high church parsons of my stripe. We like to wear a beretta too.
Where do you get all your reverential cloth?
It's the Church of England's Diagon Alley, which is Tufton Street in Westminster.
I've never been.
Oh, so good. Well, the clerical outfit is there. I mean, preeminent, I would say, is Watts & Co. And they've got all the kit. And you can buy vimpers, you can buy berettas, you can buy a mozzetta, you can buy...
What's a vimper?
A vimper? Oh, vimpers are tangerine silk. They're like oven gloves. And servers who are assisting a bishop use them to hold his crozier and his mitre.
So it's attached. It's all attached.
It looks like long oven gloves. You put them on your shoulder, but then you hold the bishops because the regalia is so precious that they can't be sullied by mere flesh. You wear your vimpers. It's the sort of thing that would make a happy clappy parson have an apoplexy. But for a high church parson, it's Christmas and birthdays all rolled into one,
Love it.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this short break.
You're a man of words, Rev Rich.
That's certainly true.
So I'm expecting something pithy here.
Famous last words.
What are going to be your last words, do you think? Bearing in mind we're on the Croisette, Romeo going out of shot, Rhino coming in.
I'm in the hospital now.
You're in the hospital.
Be Brooklyn, I need to charge my phone. Could you please unplug that machine next to my bed? That would be my last words.
I'm going to tie that up with a bow. Thank you very, very much.
Can I just point out that?
Yeah, go on.
Reconciled. Brooklyn's at my deathbed. Reconciled with David and Victoria and Romeo and Cruz and
Harper. Don't forget Harper,
I know
please.
she's not quite old enough to burst into...
She's going to rule the roost, that one.
I think you're right.
She's like Princess Charlotte. You can see it in their eyes.
I love the Princess Charlotte, don't you? She's very good. Whose birthday it is today, by the way?
June the 4th, Stevie Wonder.
You're good, but I wasn't... So there are 2 people I could do whose birthday is today. Val McDermid, we love her.
Oh.
And also Princess Lilibet of Sussex.
Oh, she's a Gemini.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that now?
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
Tomorrow.
Shut up, Mel birthday girl. Congratulations. Happy birthday to you.
So Lilibet today.
Yeah.
Little Lilibet. She's on the 4th.
Yeah. Princess Lilibet. Sounds like Star Wars, doesn't it? Don't you think? I mean, no disrespect. I think Lilibet's lovely.
Yes.
But I think Princess Lilibet sounds a bit...
Because they were a bit cross, weren't they? The royal family, that they called
cross?
her the nickname.
It's reported that they're cross.
We know
I don't
nothing.
know.
We know.
Weirdness.
The weirdness.
Yeah.
Strangeness.
Who's
Really
your favourite royal? Got to be Princess Anne, right?
Anne is high up. Kate.
She's doing very well, isn't she?
Kate and Anne, I'd say, and Charlotte.
What do you think about Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh?
I think probably quite good news. I had
Pretty good.
Yeah. She loves the theatre.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
And for that reason alone, I love her.
And I like the ones who just sort of suck it up and they open the thing and they put the spade in the ground and they cut the ribbon and they smile and they don't say anything that upsets people. Yeah. And then they get in a car and go back to...
Go their merry way.
Yeah.
Talking of which, it's time for us to go back our merry way.
Oh, no.
Rev Rich.
I'm enjoying this.
Oh, I love this so much. I can't even tell you. We touched very briefly at the beginning on, you gave me the 3 reasons why I should go into the old PGs. You just sort of go into a cul-de-sac of your own chat.
Oh, God, yes, constantly.
I mean, seriously. It's getting worse, though.
But sometimes I don't mind. Sometimes
mind.
I just, here we are in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah. But also, if you're in lovely company such as yourself, it just doesn't matter because you are very, very relaxing.
Thank you.
Make me
one
relax.
of my favourite conversations is Monk, and he's a man. He's had lovely. He doesn't do small talk at all because he's not interested. But he'd sometimes just sit there and go in silence. I remember once we just sat there in silence. We'd been talking about things we need to talk about, things we don't need to talk about, and he just after a while just went, "Oh, dig where the is." That's what he said. And he said he'd learnt it from a vine dresser who was called in at the monastery to help them plant some vines. Dig where the is. It's good, isn't it?
I'd like to end there. But not end. Say.
Dig where the is. Yeah.
Dig where the shit is.
Dig where the shit is.
Were you about to say something else? I cut you off in your prime.
Well, I've already given you my last words. And I don't want to give you a choice. I'd rather I quite like the Brooklyn, will you please unplug that machine because I need to charge my phone. Because I'll obviously be about to tweet a photo of me in Brooklyn and the Beckhams reconciled around my deathbed.
Peltz, is she there as well?
Anyone. All welcome.
All welcome. Yeah, all welcome. Going back full circle, I'd like to introduce you to this because this is actually the way in which we're going to decide where you go.
Okay.
It's called Spin for Your Sins. It can go either way. It can go yay or yay, clockwise or anti-clockwise.
You get a reborn option in there.
Well, there's no reborn.
Not in my scheme, no.
Really? No.
I'm afraid not, no.
Reincarnation.
I'm afraid it's one or the other.
Yeah, okie dokes. You can go clock or anti. It's up to you.
I want you to spin in the way you feel most comfortable.
Yeah. You spin. It's your wheel.
My spin.
You spin. Before you do that, I would like to say thank you very, very much, Rev Rich, for coming today. You've been absolutely marvellous.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It's always a ruddy joy to see you. We've come to that time, Rev Rich, where I'm going to ask you, please, to...
Spin, 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 spin for your sins.
Does that take you back to Strictly? Spin, spin.
I couldn't do a spin. I couldn't do anything.
You were great.
Well, I wasn't, but thank you. But I was really, really...
Spinning is horrible, though.
Well,
sicky.
OT gave us, so I had to do it in the jungle where you'd spin before you do the cyclone. But OT just said, look, just fix it.
Oh, yeah. What do they call it again?
I don't know what it's called.
There's a special dance word.
Oh, did you do the ballet? You did, didn't you? Well, you said Baryshnikov earlier. Come on.
No, never did the ballet.
Never did the ballet. Did you do ponies?
No.
What did you do?
Nothing. Mum wouldn't pay for any extracurricular, not even the brownies.
Really?
It was quite tight, yeah. Do spin. And of course, if you'd like to find out where Rev Rich does end up, all you have to do is go adjacent to this podcast to 6 Feet Under.
It's not been a great outcome.
Oh, it's not been a great outcome. Let's keep the jeopardy and the drama going. We always love your correspondence. Please keep that coming in, and make sure that you subscribe on Apple Podcasts if you want the old 6 Feet Under, or head to wherethere'sawillthere'sawake.com. Let's find out. Come with us now. You're listening to Where There's a Will, There's a Wake with Mel Giedroyc. The senior producer's Charlie Morrell, and the producer is Naya Dio, otherwise known as the Goddesses. The engineer is Ashley Boyle. Marketing by Janelle Brown. The assistant producer's Rani Prescott. The production coordinator's Eric Ryan. And the executive producer is Ollie Wilson.